Hi, this is Aaron Wilson. I'm at KPRC2 Studios, where we just finished discussing the Texans' regular season schedule and breaking down the chances for the defending AFC South champions. So I want to give you some of my major takeaways about the schedule. And obviously, it's a first-place schedule again because the Texans won the AFC South each of the past two seasons. So with that comes the challenge of facing a very demanding schedule. And you look at the Texans, and I think they're well equipped to be very competitive this season. We'll see where they end up. Obviously, you have to factor in injuries, performance, chemistry, coaching, and the improvement or lack of improvement thereof of the opponents. But yeah, let's break down this schedule, go through it all, and I'll give you some of my predictions and thoughts and kind of how I think the Texans may end up. So get comfortable here and just talk to you a little bit about what happened here with the schedule. So in New York, obviously, the people that make the schedule, the league office, the schedule makers, Mike North and those other executives from the league, they gave the Texans 6 primetime games last year. And they were reacting, obviously, to the Texans being a potential Super Bowl contender and the buzz surrounding DeMeco Ryans, a NFL Coach of the Year, at least from the Pro Football Writers American, runner-up, Associated Press, and C.J. Stroud being the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, Will Anderson Jr. being the Defensive Rookie of the Year. So you look at all of those things and what it added up to, a lot of primetime games. However, the Texans didn't perform all that well in some of these primetime contests, including, most notably and embarrassingly, the game against the Baltimore Ravens, where they lose 31-2 at NRG Stadium with Beyonce in the house on Christmas Day on Netflix. And so, that was an embarrassing display of football. And the Texans will tell you that. They'll be the first ones to tell you that's not good enough. That's not Texans football. But there is a fallout from that. When you don't play well in these primetime opportunities, you don't capitalize, then they notice this in terms of thinking about ad dollars, thinking about sponsorships, thinking about all those things. So there's a business component to it. It's not just about ratings, but it's also performance / ratings / Q factor, all these things, looking at the Texans. But you guys don't care that much probably about lack of respect of primetime. They get 4 primetime games and some really good primetime games, and we'll go through all of them. But to me, the Texans were not disrespected. You have to be honest and look at how did the Texans perform in the playoffs? How did the Texans do at some of these stages of the season? I think there were some games last year that very easily could have been good primetime games, including their win over the Buffalo Bills. Well, they caught on this year. This game, when they played the Buffalo Bills at home this year, November 20th, is Thursday on Amazon Prime. So everyone's going to see that game, and it's going to be a great matchup between C.J. Stroud, Josh Allen, the Texans' loaded defense that absolutely stonewalled Josh last time. So let's start with the beginning of the season. I like to kind of break up the schedule into increments and just give some of my opinions on where the Texans may wind up. So they start the season on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. This is one of 3 trips to the West Coast. They play the Rams, and then they play the Chargers, the team they beat in the AFC wildcard round, twice. So they play both these games in Los Angeles, not far from the Inland Empire where C.J. Stroud grew up. And they have a Monday night game against the Seattle Seahawks following a very early bye. But starting with the Rams, so you're talking about one of C.J. Stroud's idols, Matthew Stafford, quarterbacking a very good offense, architect being Sean McVay. Sean McVay against DeMeco Ryans, a great coaching matchup. 2 of the best in terms of strategy and leadership and innovation. DeMeco, obviously the defensive specialist, and Sean, well-schooled in all offensive principles. And he's got Devontae Adams to go with Puka Nacua. That would be a cool game. Texans definitely need to get Jared Verse blocked. And, that's going to be challenging against him and Braden Fisk. They didn't look good against the Rams defense in the preseason in those joint practice sessions. So we'll see how much does the offensive line improve. We're going to find out pretty fast. Is the offensive line a lot better? So then they have a Monday night game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the first Monday night home game in the DeMeco Ryans era. And it's also the first home Monday night game since November 26, 2018, when they played the Tennessee Titans. So it is a big milestone for the Texans to get a home Monday night game. They don't give that to just anybody. And it's, of course, Mike Evans. It's, Baker Mayfield. It's a good game. But it's a winnable game. And they won last time. You remember C.J. Stroud, what he did with Tank Dell, and the way they played. It was an outstanding game. They did a decent job against Mike Evans, but couldn't keep him out of the end zone entirely. But I thought overall they played well. So the first 4 games at Rams, then home against Tampa Bay for the September 15th home opener, one day before my birthday. Seems to always work out that way. So, I just realized this. My birthday's on a Tuesday. Okay, that's good. Normally kind of a slower day in the NFL. And then September 21st, they travel to play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I don't know if they've really improved all that much. We'll see. Does the addition of Travis Hunter and having Liam Cohen as the new head coach, does that change things? Does that change the calculus for the Jaguars? But I look at the Texans, and I think they're getting off to a 3-1 start. They play the Tennessee Titans. It's good to get Cam Ward early, probably before he really catches on to the NFL. He's very talented. He's going to be a good player. And he's, of course, from Columbia High School, about an hour from Houston. And Cam Ward, electrifying talent, very dynamic. And we'll see what can he do with Calvin Ridley and just kind of what kind of team can they put together. But, I still think they're better than the Titans. So, 3-1. And then they play at the Ravens. And this is a true litmus test of where the Texans stand. And it's really the same Ravens team. It's Lamar Jackson. It's Derrick Henry. It's Mark Andrews. It's Zay Flowers, healthy again. And, of course, a challenging defense led by Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton. So we'll see. How good are they? It hasn't gone very well for them in the past. They have lost the last couple of games at M&T Bank Stadium, losing to John Harbaugh and Jackson and all the things the Ravens bring to bear. And, of course, I have a long background with the Ravens, covered them for 15 years, covered their Super Bowl winning team with Joe Flacco, got there in 2001, and then moved here to Houston and been covering the Texans ever since. So this, I believe, is like my 10th year covering the Texans. So, I'm excited, and this will be a great matchup, and I always look forward to, of course, getting close to home and seeing family, and I see a lot of my friends that are still in the Baltimore media and people that work for the team. So, it'll be an interesting game, a challenging game. So, after the Ravens game, and, we'll see, do they win this game? Are they going to be playing, at a higher level than they did? Obviously, than they showed on Christmas. I'm sure they will play better. But if they win the game, they head into their bye week. And the open week is, really it's interesting because it's the first week of October. It's kind of early, but last year I thought it was almost kind of too late. But, there's never really such a thing as the perfect bye week or open week, however you're going to call it. So at this point in the season, I look at the Texans and, from 3-1, I think 3-2. So then you play Seattle, and you got about 15 days before you play the Seahawks on the road, October 20th, Monday night game, and that'll be interesting. I think that's a real winnable game. So, going from, let's see what I had there, beating, a few of these teams here, 3-1. Let's say they are, 1, 2, 3. Let's say they're 4 let's say they're 3-2 at that point. Then they beat Seattle, and they're 4-2. And then they've got this home stretch where they play the San Francisco 49ers, the Denver Broncos, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like their chances to win 2 of these 3. I could see them potentially losing to the Broncos on November 2nd. I think they're very well coached with Sean Payton. They have a good system quarterback in Bo Nix. I wouldn't be surprised if they won the game. But I think that if I had to pick a game where maybe they take an L, maybe it's Denver. Maybe that's a game where there's a little bit of let up. And then they play the Titans again after they play the Jaguars. November 9th, Jaguars. November 16th, Titans. And so I look at it and I think, I like their chances in this division. I think they're going to win probably 5 of 6 division games. They always split with either Jacksonville or the Colts. So I think there's a chance that maybe they don't sweep this year. So we'll see how that goes. And then, there's a tough stretch here. So the Bills game, I know that they did a great job on Josh Allen. They totally stonewalled him. He was completely locked up. He didn't have a great game at all. And so they need to duplicate that performance. They need to play better on offense against a very good Bills defense. It includes players like Terrell Bernard and Ed Oliver, and they're just Greg Rousseau. They have a lot of good football players. They continually improve. They draft well with Brandon Beane. They're very well coached. They're tough. They are a hard-nosed team. It's, the Bills Mafia. They have good fans. They travel well. All of those things. And I think it's very appropriate that this game is on primetime because this is two of the best teams in the NFL. Can't wait to cover this game. Very excited about it already. But obviously I got a long wait, just like you guys, until they play the Bills. So then after this game, they play the Colts. And that's a game they've got to win. They've got to be able to beat the Colts. And is it going to be Daniel Jones? Is it going to be Anthony Richardson? I think it should be Daniel Jones. I think it gives them a better chance to win. And this is the kind of game that they just got to win these games. They've got to win the divisional games because they've got a tough out-of-division schedule. And then it's the Kansas City Chiefs, December 7th. Back to Arrowhead Stadium, which has been a real house of horrors for the Texans lately. Arrowhead's where they lost in the playoffs at frigid temperatures. And it was the same deal. It's cold, bitter cold, in December. It's where Tank Dell tore up his knee and will likely miss the season as a result of that gruesome injury in December. And then to give up 8 sacks, to struggle against Chris Jones and company, Stone Cold Chris Jones, it was rough. It was ugly, and it left a lot of people wondering, well, what is it going to take for the Texans to get over the hump? And for the Texans, for them to give me a lot of confidence that they can make it past the divisional round, they got to win one of these games. Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City in the regular season. Otherwise, it's kind of hard for me to really feel a lot of confidence about them not going to 0-7 in the divisional round. Yeah, I like their chance of winning a wild card game, but to take this next step, to do what they hope to do, what they feel like they have the potential to do, you got to be more competitive against these teams. It can't be anything less than a outstanding performance and potentially a win. So that would be an upset, I know. It gets a little easier after that. They will have a chance to end the regular season on a good note heading into the playoffs, and I think have good seeding, possibly being a game, a team that has 12, 13 victories under their belt. So Arizona Cardinals, Las Vegas Raiders, those are games that got to be gimmies. They got to take care of business against Kyler Murray and Geno Smith. It's not easy, but these aren't great teams by any stretch. And then you play the Chargers. Chargers is on the road. It's a playoff rematch for the Chargers after Justin Herbert had that meltdown and threw those 3 interceptions. Pretty uncharacteristic for him to throw that many picks, and it was ugly. But are they going to play better? Is Jim Harbaugh going to have his team more prepared to play? Are they going to be able to stop Ladd McConkey? Had some trouble with him last time. So all of these things are factors when you look at the Texans and the Chargers. And then they play the Colts again, and the Colts game is at home. And this is the Week 18 game, and then you're talking about, are they going to be in a position to rest guys like they did last year against the Titans? Would they be able to hold back a few guys as they get ready for the playoffs? And like DeMeco Ryans or anybody would tell you in the NFL, you don't start the season in the playoffs. You earn your way into the playoffs. But we're in the business of projecting and making predictions. And to me, the Texans win the AFC South again. The Texans, it will take them about 12 wins or so to do it. I think they could even get it done with 11. And we'll see what kind of noise they make in the playoffs. For me to tell you they're going to do this, they're going to go to the Super Bowl, they're going to make a lot of noise, they're going to be a division champion, I would be BSing you, and I don't want to. I like to be honest. I'm not like a big critic. I think you guys kind of know where I'm coming from. But I do deal in logic, and I deal with what I think is likely and what are honest projections. And my honest projection is this team, I just don't know yet, are they going to make this quantum leap of improvement? I think they are better than last season. I believe that. And I think that, you got to see where they end up. But, as Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans say, they've got a chance to be very competitive. They've got what they believe is to be a good football team. I believe that too. And talking to Will Anderson Jr. this week, I know they're determined to take that next step. And Nico Collins last weekend, all these guys are talking about the playoffs. They're all talking about what it will take. And, like anything, it's all cliches, but there are also truisms. One day at a time, one practice at a time, one step at a time, as they try to take a big next step, and that's being able to get past the elite teams. We talk about the Chiefs, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, we're talking about Travis Kelce. We're talking about some great defensive players like Trent McDuffie and Chris Jones. So what's it going to take? The Texans are going to have a much better offensive line. We still have to see. Jury's still out. Are they going to be a better offensive line? Had a few people ask me about Joe Mixon. I'll throw this in there at the end. So my understanding is it's nothing serious with Joe. It may cause him to miss a little bit of time in the spring, but it's nothing alarming. I think he'll be ready for training camp, maybe even ready sooner than that. But right now, I don't think he'll be doing any practices, and so it's something, but it's not anything real big. And I know a few people have asked me this question. I've done some reporting on this. I've checked with some folks, and I'm not concerned. I haven't even done an article on it or anything like that. It sounds like it's something that's going to keep him from practicing a bit in the spring, and that happens sometimes. Don't know the exact nature of whatever he's dealing with. Was told authoritatively he's been in a walking boot, which is sometimes just for protective reasons. So, I don't think there's anything real alarming on Joe Mixon, but, we'll see. Don't claim to have every piece of information on that, but, I've had a lot of people ask me about that, so I'm going to tell you guys right here on my channel. So, you never know. Sometimes I might drop a little bit of information, sometimes like visits or, contract information here on YouTube. And please like and subscribe. Check me out here and on KPRC2 with Randy McElvoy and R. Alexander. And on social media at AaronWilson_NFL. Of course, at www.click2houston.com, which is absolutely free of charge. You do not need a subscription. You don't have to sign up for anything. You can just type those words, www.click2houston.com, and read all of our Texans coverage for free. And so, that's appealing to a lot of people who don't want to pay for subscriptions. I understand that. And then, of course, I'm also on Instagram at AaronWilson7128. So Texans, I didn't mention the the preseason, but I will. I know you guys have all seen the schedule by now. But August 9th, they go to the Minnesota Vikings. And then August 16th, they host the Carolina Panthers. So you see Bryce Young come to town. And then they play a very good team, the Detroit Lions, in the third preseason game. So a good tune-up for the regular season against a team that they struggled against despite intercepting Jared Goff 5 times. They still lose the game. So I don't believe in any rematches or payback when you're talking about the preseason. But, we'll see some starters out there, and we'll see can they play better. And I think Aiden Hutchinson will be out there, and it'll be interesting to see how the Texans handle things. Do they even play a lot of guys in this game? We don't know yet. But it'll be interesting to watch, and it should be a fun season. And so we'll have you prepared for everything, giving you guys previews and my insights and interviews with players and everything that goes along with covering the NFL. So, guys, thanks so much for listening in and hanging in there with me. And, I would have probably posted this a little bit earlier, but was doing some live television in the 7 o'clock hour with Randy and Ari, and it was fun. So please check that out on KPRC2 Plus and tonight on KPRC2. Thanks a lot, guys. Until next time.